In this video, we're going to be going over two trades that we took today in premium. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I saw in the larger time frames. I'm going to show you how I found the setups, how I located my levels, and then after we're going to bring it down to a shorter time frame so I can show you guys pinpoint execution, and hopefully you can apply some of these teachings to your own trades. So with that being said, the two that we're going to go over are TTD and LCID. We're going to start off on the larger time frames. As you guys can see here, I have the 30-day, 4-hour on TTD. From previous videos, you guys know this is one of my favorite time frames to do analysis on. I think it's super important to look at the larger scope of things before you bring it down to a smaller time frame. This way the levels are the most accurate and you can have a good general idea on where price is trending. So first we have this 55.16. This was a tough area of resistance for TTD. We had 4 rejections, and then from this 4th rejection, we made a nice move lower into 43.63. The RSI had lost that 50 momentum, as you guys can see. Back in the past, once we broke above, we used it as support. So at this point here, when price action is getting tight, I want to see that RSI lose momentum and then form a bearish setup for a continuation lower. So this is what I saw in TTD, this upward trend going back to the beginning of May. And I wanted to see this 45.47 give out, lose this upward trend, and target that 43.63. So overall, this is the 4-hour look. Now let's bring it down to a 5-minute so I can show you guys pinpoint execution. From the gap down, that 47.43 was a tough area of resistance for TTD. There was about 3 or 4 retests of that level that got rejected. And then once we broke above, we used it as support. So going into the session, this was a crucial area I wanted to keep on watch. This was the call trigger level. Now it's super important to understand, and I've said this in previous videos, but when the overall general market is dumping, you guys want to be looking to short at resistance. So when price makes its way back to that 47.43, if you are trying to go long, you want to see a breakout and a retest to confirm validation going to the upside. Now since the general market's dumping, that first retest, you guys should be looking to short. So this was the first entry that I saw. I'll zoom in a little bit more here after I showed you guys how I got that 47.43. And once we got to that 47.43, we rejected. We made a nice move lower, and we got that first 5-minute close at 9.55. Now, even if you would have waited for that first close at 9.55, this was still a great trade going short. We had continued momentum into that 43.63 target that I showed you guys on the 4-hour. And this was a great play going short from that call trigger rejection back into support. So even if you would have just played here to here, this provided some great premium. And then if you would have bought here and then held all the way down to target 1, it was even better. So once that RSI lost the 50 momentum, we had increased volume leading the sell-off, and this was a great play on TTD going to the downside. Now that we just finished up TTD, let's head over to LCID, and I'll show you guys what I was seeing on a 30-minute time frame. So first, guys, price was consolidating within this box. Once we broke above, we used it as support, and then going into today, we were opening right back in that same range. Now, the RSI lost that momentum on the 50 line, so I was looking for price to lose support and break this upper trend line to head into that pivot and the range break of this UTL. So first, the 1665 I got from this level here. Once we broke above, we used it as support, and then going further back, it was a crucial area of resistance, support again, and even going back into this area as well. So this 1665 was a fine line for going short. I wanted to see us lose this level and make a continuation lower into our targets. So this is just a 30-minute look on LCID, and then now I'm going to show you guys a 5-minute and how you could have executed. And I'm also going to show you guys a 1-minute scalping entry that you could apply to your own trades, and you could really find these front run entries before something triggers on a higher one. So first, the 5-minute price was consolidating out of the open. You guys can see there was nice selling volume. The RSI was below that 50. And then now we are either looking for a close or an intraday setup to give us a clean entry for puts. So that first 5-minute close didn't occur until 9:50, but even if you would have waited until this 9:50 close, we still got some great momentum going to the downside, and we reached both of our targets within the first hour of open. So even if you would have played this on a 5-minute chart, this was a great play, but I'm going to show you on the 1-minute how you could have executed even better. So let's go over here to the 1-minute, and I'll show you guys right out of the open, price was consolidating within this opening candle range. Right? Once we were consolidating within this opening candle range, we were forming a UTL. Once we broke down below that UTL, we used it as resistance. So this really could have been the front run entry, right? It could have been the double top at high a day, or it could have been that breakdown of the UTL. So if you would have entered right here on the breakdown below the UTL, your first target is that 16.65 support. You can then sell half your position here, which stops for anything back above 16.65, and you can let the trade play out going into the further downside targets. So this is just a really good example on how you can identify a pinpoint setup on the 1 minute. Now, using the 1 minute chart is extremely volatile, and it can be scary if you're a new trader. It could really stop you out of some great winning trades if you're focused on these little 1 minute candles. So I highly recommend once you get in off the 1 minute, definitely switch over to a 5 minute or a 10 minute or even a 15 minute so you can hold those winning trades longer, right? So if you guys look at a 5 minute chart, look at all these red candles, right? There wasn't one green candle going into both of our targets. If you were looking at the 1 minute, those little pops on 1 minute candles might have shaken you out. So I think it's super important to look at it from both perspectives. And if you are using the 1 minute, make sure you switch to a 5, 10, or 15 so you can stay in these trades longer. We had great selling volume going to the downside that supported this play going into both targets. The RSI was well below 50, right? Selling pressure was on, and this was a great play for small accounts. I believe the contracts were about 30, 40 cents in this range here. And then going into our targets, they reached about 70, 80 cents, right? So this was a great play on LCID and TTD, and I hope you guys can learn and apply these principles that I am teaching in these videos to your own trades.